those heels down, widen out the legs a little bit, and we're just going to rock to the inside of the feet and the outside of the feet. And at any time, if you feel like you need a little bit more support from the back, you can move back in your chair. But you're just pushing to the inside edges. And again, you'll notice knees come in, knees go out. The hips are also moving here too. I want to make sure that you feel the ankles and the feet as well. We'll go 2 more there. And then if you haven't already, and you're on the edge of the seat, a little bit here, let's move back a little bit so that the most of the thigh is supported by your chair. We're going to start a little bit with some knee motion and a little bit further into the ankle motion. But as we go to extend the knees and bend the knees, we want to have support at the thighs here. So comfortably lean back in your chair, make sure your thighs are supported. And you can do this one leg at a time if you want the support of the other foot, or you can try both legs at the same time. You can take a pull back underneath your chair, holding on if you want a little bit of leverage, just getting the knees moving, lubricating those joints, bending and straightening. Always the option to do one at a time. There's also kind of letting this stuff be what's right for you as well. I miss our in-person stuff so much because it's great to be able to, make corrections and see what everyone's body moves like. So when you're doing these on your own, just make sure that everything feels okay for you and feels comfortable. You're free to stop at any time. You're free to just take a few breaths. And we'll go for 1 or 2 more of these. Again, you can be doing one leg at a time, switching, alternating. And then planting everything down, you can have a little bit of a shake out. And what we're going to do here now that you're sitting back and you might be able to lean the feet forward a little more is some more free ankle circles. So getting the feet off the floor, extending out in front a little bit. Always option to do one at a time so that you have the support of that leg. Just taking some nice big sweeping ankle circles here as we move through the lower body. Okay, and we'll maybe go for 1 or 2 more of those. Taking the last few motions here at the feet. And then we are going to shift again a little bit more forward into the chair. We're going to widen out at the legs, still having some of the legs supported, and maybe you want to lean back in your chair. We're going to go one leg at a time. This one can be a little bit tricky, but we're going to go one leg at a time, slight lifting off the chair and moving it from the center back out. So making sure the back is supported. And just giving the hip a couple of runs into that abduction and adduction. Moving the leg as much or as little as you feel comfortable. We'll go 1 more on this side and then switch it out. I'm just taking a little bit of a lift off. I've still got my whole leg supported on the chair. I'm just taking a bit of weight off so there's less friction and I can move a little bit, and always supporting with the hands here as well too. And if this one doesn't feel great, you can just take the leg down, relax for a moment, have a breath. We're going to do a little bit more hip stuff as well too. And we'll go for 2 more on this side. And then you can kind of shake everything out, just let that motion go. And then for the hips here, if that one didn't feel so great, or just as an add-on, we're going to have you lean a little bit further back in the chair, so you'll get some action at the core here as well. We're going to widen out the knees again, and we're just going to take a few rolls in of the knee. And we can alternate sides with this one. So we get the hips to internally rotate. Nice easy movement. Feet are on the floor and they're sort of helping you pivot. And just thinking about moving the ball of the hip joint in its socket. And our movements are a little bit limited by the chair as well too, and that's fine. Maybe taking one more each side. And then coming to an upright, sitting a little bit more forward in the chair. We're going to turn it back to the breath, ground through the feet again. We're going to start working at the spine. So just making sure that your airways feel open, that you're postured up. We're going to start with the hands on the knees and just take 2 big breaths here. Slow exhales. And we're going to start just by rounding our spine. So we're going to include the neck and the cervical spine in all of these motions. So you can tuck your chin first, just making sure that every motion is slow and controlled and feels okay. And you're going to start bending the spine down. Hands are here to support. And just feeling the back curve, maybe sitting a little bit further back into the pelvis and the sit bones. Letting the shoulder blades be wide across the back and just relaxing into this hunched over posture. And take a breath or 2 here. Feeling the back of the neck lengthen out. And on your next inhale, using that inhale, is to help you start to straighten out. So feeling the lower back, the mid back start to extend, and then we're going to begin to push the shoulders back a little bit. The hands are going to crawl up the legs, and really slowly and gently we're going to tilt that chin up, and the head can come back. And just pausing here again for a breath or 2. When we inhale here, opportunity to really expand through the chest. And then we go both of those one more time. Start with the head, gently, slowly tucking the chin down to chest. Rounding at the back and at the shoulders. Letting that posture become totally relaxed. Finding your breath. And then the next time that you're inhaling, just beginning to straighten up. Feeling everything unfold, keeping the shoulders low away from the ears. And as the back straightens out, the shoulders pull back a little bit. And tilting the head. Just being careful and slow with your motions, making sure the muscles are there to help control all of this. And you can bring your whole posture back to a neutral. And maybe just take a breath. Roll the shoulders. And we're going to move the hands just up close to the collarbones. So they'll be just resting lightly around the collarbone where the chest is. You can, choose to keep the elbows and shoulders relaxed and low, or you can have them up high. What we want to focus on is rotating through the spine. So keeping those feet grounded and the hips still so that you can feel the rib cage moving. If that feels, like a good guide for you too, maybe keeping the hands on the rib cage to feel yourself rotate. Or, up here, just making sure that that rotation is happening from here and not just from the shoulders trying to crank around. So we'll go this way. So having your feet settled into the ground, hips steady, wherever you choose your hands to be, you're going to rotate. Just exploring the really true rotation motion. So not shoulders cranking over, not the hips shifting, but staying really true to the rib cage moving around the spine. And when you're rotated, pausing there and adding the head in. So just having the neck rotate in the same direction. And taking a few breaths here and just checking in, making sure the shoulders are square across, that the movement's coming from the spine. Feet and hips are steady and square. And allow yourself to settle. Keeping the breath slow, maintaining that position. And then slowly moving it back to the center. You can take a moment, just maybe if the shoulders, if they're high up, just to rest. You can kind of shake it out a little bit. Take a few rolls of the shoulders before we do the other side. And then you can reset your hands wherever you choose, up here on the rib cage. Settle the feet, plant the hips, and begin your rotation other direction. And then from here, once you're rotated, just settling in, checking in that the shoulders feel level, that they're not cranked around, just checking in with your position, turning the head in the same direction, and then finding your breath. It can be really beneficial to breathe in different positions for the spine. All the muscles that are in between the ribs, helping lift the rib cage, really get the chance to work differently in different positions. So maybe give yourself 1 or 2 more breaths here. And then start to make your way back to the center, letting the hands relax, shaking out a little bit, taking a few rolls of the shoulders, and then we're going to bring our thumbs close to our collarbones and just begin some side bends. So ground through your feet, maybe a little bit of a wider base of support here because we are going to be leaning over to the side. So you're going to make sure that you got lots of support from the feet. I'm going to try this one with the arms. If your arm doesn't go this, close to your side, you can just focus on the side bending or just reach the arm low, whatever feels good for you. So we're going to take it over to one side. So I'm going to imagine that this arm here that's still close to my collarbone is pulling down towards my thigh, and that this one's just pushing up and over a little bit. And what we're going to think about with these ones, we're going to do 2 each side, is just making sure that we're not leaned over off of our cheek on this side. So keeping the hips square and steady and thinking about pulling down through this part of the torso and then reaching a little bit through the arm. Option always to have the arm down, maybe a little bit lower, always making the exercises work for your body, not forcing your body to fit to the exercise. There's always options. And we're going to take our breath here as well too. While this side of the body is open and expanded, imagine the air, flowing through the ribs there. You can take 2 breaths. And then starting to pull it back to the center, taking a breath to reset, and then reaching over to the other side, thinking about pulling down and reaching over. So creating some opposition in your own body. Options with the arms again, keeping it lower, or just even right down here, and thinking about pulling over to that one side. I'm going to take our breath here. Imagining that air going through the open side of the body. And then pulling it back to center. And let's try one more each side. Now that you've chosen your arm position, you kind of got the hang of it. If you want to feel like you want to increase the stretch a little bit, you can visit that. And let's pull to center. Last one. Holding here, finding your breath. And then pulling back to center, letting the arms fall down, having a little bit of a shake out. And so we've got all of our motions of the spine. We rounded forward, we extended, we rotated and added and side bent and added the flexion to all of that. So what we're going to do is focus just on the head, on the cervical spine. And we're going to do the same thing. So just bending down here, making sure that, especially with the neck, that all motions are slow controlled. And just giving yourself a sec to feel the back of the neck lengthen out. And just keeping the breath slow, helping balance the nervous system. Beginning to lift the chin to the ceiling, taking the base of the skull back towards the spine. And something, if you're feeling somewhat flexible here, if you close your mouth, kind of touch the teeth together and lift the chin, you'll begin to feel a little bit of release in the front of the neck. There's lots of muscles there as well too that we can lengthen out. Just making sure not to push anything. And then bringing it back to the center. I'm gonna put my hands right at the side here, and we're gonna do some side bending of the neck. And this is a tricky one. All the motions of our neck are very connected. So sometimes when we go to, try to side bend, there's a little bit of rotating and all that stuff that goes on. So that's fine. You're gonna just do your best to feel a tilt of the head. So it's sort of like you're trying to bring the temple down close to the edge of the collarbone. So if you can kind of feel out that position, you're aiming to feel a little bit of length here. We're going to add in a little bit of shoulder motion. So the side that you're bent over to, we're going to lift that shoulder. I know this one, now I'm getting fancy. Now I'm asking you to coordinate stuff. But a lot of the muscles of the neck and shoulder are very related. So when we're going to, introduce mobility and do some stretching, it's kind of cool to pair the two of them up. So if you can shrug towards the side that you're bent to, and then what we're going to do here is push the shoulder down as the head goes over to the other side. So taking those motions slow and just thinking about driving that shoulder down and then creating length on this side. So just pausing in that stretch. Again, not too caught up if things aren't perfect. It's just gentle movement, just exploring and giving your body a chance to breathe and move and lengthen out a bit. So now that we're bent to this side, we're going to relax this hand and start to lift the other shoulder close. Have a little bit of a squeeze and a shrug there. And anytime this doesn't feel good, just coming out of the position, relaxing and taking a breath. And then starting to move the shoulder down and bring the head over to the other side. Still kind of pressing the hand down, creating a bit of length. Pausing there, finding your breath. And then bringing everything back to center. And we'll give the shoulders a few rolls here. So feeling yourself picking the shoulders up, pushing them back and down, rounding forward, picking them up and back. Maybe matching that with the breath for the legs too. So lifting the shoulders up and back with an inhale. Exhale down. One more time. Inhale, lift and push back. Exhale down. And then just let everything come to still. Let your hands rest in your lap. And take a breath or two just to reset. And our next move, we're going to start to involve the arms a little bit. So still with some shoulders, still with some neck movement, upper back, postural muscles. We're going to invite the arms to play in a little bit. So I'm going to get you to options for this one. You can interlace the fingers to push back, but not a lot of people have that wrist motion. So you can grab one hand here, or you can just simply keep the hands this way, placing this way, whatever feels good. And what we're going to do is push forward so that you can feel the shoulder blades working their way out. So you're still using the arms as leverage, being gentle with your stretches, and then taking the neck down as well here too. So pausing here and maybe taking a breath and just maybe visualizing the breath going through the back part of the ribs. And then from here, if it feels okay, you're going to start to open up the arms. And so keeping them about shoulder height or a little bit lower if that feels better. And you're going to think about pushing them back behind you. Yeah. So shoulder blades come together. We're going to try to keep the shoulders low. Sometimes they like to creep up here, but try to keep them low, squeezing back so you feel now the lower back stretching a little bit, the shoulder blades squeezing together, and the chest really open. And one more time, we'll visit both of those, bringing the arms around and holding at the arms however feels good. You can even just join the arms, just giving yourself lots of options for comfortable movement. And then one more time, we'll open that up, sort of swimming the arms back. And you can try maybe rotating the wrists here as well too, getting a little bit of different angle on the shoulder if you rotate the wrists. Good. And then coming back to center with the spine, letting the arms just rest, giving the shoulders a bit of a break from all that. Any little adjustments at the neck, maybe a few rolls. Just gently resetting. And then we're going to involve the arms in a shoulder roll just to give a little bit more motion, a little bit of a different feel. We're going to turn the hands towards the collarbones here. And we're going to start to draw big circles with the elbows. So think about there being like pens sort of attached at the edges of your elbows, and you're going to draw some really big circles here. You can inhale as you lift up. Exhale to bring the arms down. Inhale, lift, exhale down. We'll do one more like this, and then we're going to switch directions here. So you'll sort of pause at the back and then lifting them around and forward. And still keeping the breath as an inhale when the arms come up. Exhale down. Good. One more time. Excellent. Let those shoulders drop. We're going to focus a little bit on the wrists and hands today. So we're going to move from flexion to extension. Now you can keep the arms wherever it feels good for you. If you want to have them dropped at your sides, that's fine. We're more concerned about the motion of the hand. So it'll be here, just coming a bit closer so you guys can see, and then down. We are going to, I was just looking at Erin, yeah, we're going to extend the arm out or the hand fingers out as you come back, and we're going to close them as we come forward. That'll give us a little bit more motion in either direction. So wherever you feel like you want the hands to be, they can be relaxed down here. You can keep them up here. You can have a bent elbow. That changes the stretch a little bit too. So whatever feels good for you. And you can try different ways. You can try here first and closing down. And then you can do one with your bent elbow, widening out, and really splay those fingers wide. It can be a really nice sensation to really open those up. We're oftentimes gripping things. And the reason we close the hands and we go down is just it gives us a little bit more motion at the wrist there. And then if you choose, sort of your hands to be here, that's fine too. And then closing them down. We'll go for a few more. Opening those up. Wide fingers and then closing. And you can be, pretty intentional with the closing of the fingers too. So you can sort of feel your muscles, create a little bit of tension as you splay those out, get a good stretch back. And then feel the fingers closing and coming down. Good. Nice. Let's do one more. One and a half more so that everybody can finish with their closed hand. So keep everything closed here, fingers, a little bit of tension grabbing, and you're going to start some circles with the closed hands. And you can sort of alternate directions and choose your hand position, or, up here. Is it driving some rotation at the wrist there? We're going to do the same thing with open hands. So letting the fingers come into it, rotating, and everybody's wrist kind of moves a little bit differently and has different ranges of motion. So you're just making circles. How's my time? Good. And then letting everything shake out and drop. Settling in again and taking a few deep breaths. And then we're going to finish up just by sort of taking one big sweep of the whole body, combining all the little stretches that we learned. So we're going to start again at the feet, and we'll go a little bit more dynamic, a little bit quicker, just sweeping through the whole body, giving one last little bit of mobility, a little bit of stretch into the whole body. So turn your attention back down towards your feet. You're going to lift heels up and peel them down, lift toes up. So just rocking through, and you can hold on to the chair. Going for 2 more here. And then keeping the heels up and just maybe taking a few rotations of the ankles. And this will move our knees and our hips as well too. So keeping the heels off, but the balls of the feet are connected, helping you pivot around. And you can switch other direction. And then planting those feet, maybe sitting back a little bit so your legs are supported. And we're going to go one leg at a time for this one and just alternate. Just kind of some nice easy swings of the legs. Going for 1 more each side. And then widening out at the hips. And just sitting forward a little bit so you've got a little bit of wiggle room to turn the hips. And keeping that motion nice and easy again, sort of like a sway. One more each side. Resetting your posture, and we're just going to bring both legs out a little bit and take some big sweeping ankle circles. Maybe working a few in each direction every time you turn. And then sitting forward a little bit, taking a little bit of a shake out at the legs. And this time we will add in the arms and the spine together for some rotations and side bends. So try this one out, bring the arms, extend them forward here, just out in front, and they can always be a little bit lower for the shoulders to relax. And as we rotate, we're going to open up to one side and spin. Hold it here, keeping the shoulders low, making sure that your stretch feels comfortable, and turning your gaze towards your fingertips so that there's a little bit of rotation in the neck as well. And then bringing that back to center, letting the hands touch just for a reference point, and then opening up other side. So reaching a little bit with the shoulders here. Gaze is towards the hand. And then bringing it back to center. And right from here, whatever grip feels good at your hands, begin to round it forward, tucking the chin down, pausing there, breathing through the back of the ribs. And what we'll try from here, if it feels okay, is lifting with the back and with the arms. So maybe bringing the arms up and just as high as they can come. It might be here, might be up here. Just thinking about finding length in the back. And then if it's possible to keep the arms up, you've got options to grab a wrist and side bend. Or as we did before, keeping everything close in, depending on what feels good for your arms, for your spine, just making sure that your body feels comfortable. Good. And thinking about a little bit of a pull here so that there's a bend in the side and not too much of a lean over into your chair. When you're ready, on an inhale, bring it through the center. Feel the rib cage lift with your breath, and then sink into the other side as you breathe out. Pausing here. And then bringing everything back to center, and let's sweep the arms open. And we'll bring the hands right to the collarbones and start those shoulder rolls. Backwards first, inhaling to lift. Going for 2 more. And then switching directions. And if the arm thing doesn't feel comfortable, you're always free to drop them. And then letting everything settle down at the sides. Taking a breath just to reset your posture. And we'll start just with the neck, letting the head move all by itself. Down, length at the back of the neck. Tilting up, moving slowly. Chin directed towards the ceiling. You can try that mouth closed. Front of the neck stretch. Back to center. We'll do 1 rotation each side of the head. So let's just turn, looking over the shoulder, trying to keep the shoulders forward. Pausing the rotation. And then slowly working your way over to the other side. Back to center. And we'll this time go right into our side bend, bringing the shoulder up. Squeezing there, finding a little bit of length here, maybe pressing this hand down a little bit as this side squeezes up. And then other side, moving the shoulder up as you go, pressing the other side down. And back to center. And maybe here, just taking a few gentle circles of the head. So you can start, just by gently going back down and then traveling over to one side. Always being really slow and careful with these motions. We'll go twice in each direction. Good. working our way other side. Recentering the head, taking a breath, and just turning the attention one more time back to the hands, whatever position feels good. Splay them wide open. Close them off and pull them down. A few times, feeling the fingers open wide, stretching back. Closing. Good. And then making a few circles with closed fingers. And they're not really true circles. They're sort of like, I don't know, strange shapes. But finding that rotation at your wrists. Closed fingers first, and then you can start to open up. And you can let the shoulder kind of help you get around as well. Good. And that is it. If anyone wants to maybe finish up just standing a little bit and taking a few, steps or sways side to side, just letting some of that, because some of this stretches create a bit of tension as well too. So just letting some of that energy and that tension flow out of the body. A few nice deep breaths here. And just taking any last little shakes out that you need. And I think we will leave it there.